is the castle. I am doing a little. This one's going to be a little bit different. So the other ones have been me trying to get information out of people to give to you guys. This one, blood sports. This is war.
Round one, fight.
Exactly. Well, it's a fighting game podcast, quote unquote. So this is definitely fitting. I'm joined by AceOfSpuds. How is
Hello.
it going?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to have a chat.
Yeah, so this it kind of stemmed with me and Sam. I definitely got cornered once at the mix-up where I had him and production and like 3 other like 10 commentators stand around me telling me commentators are worth a lot. And I'm like, all right. But I did take it in, I took it on board, went back, pondered about it, spoke to Sam again. He hasn't changed his mind. I think he reinforced mine, but listening to AceOfSpuds talk with Sam on his podcast, shouts to Fuzzy God, I definitely got riled up. I was like, no, I know what I think now. I'm 100% certain in my position. It's died down a little bit, but I think it's going to get brought up when we talk to you, AceOfSpuds, about your framing of the worth of commentators. So let's get into it. Let's go with your position. I'm just a hater. That's my position. Could you explain kind of how you got into commentating and why? And then I guess that would lead into what you think the value of commentators are for the. We can go with FTC or in general if you want. I don't mind which way we go with it.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk in general, but with like a focus on the FGC because that's what we're here for, and that's what most of the viewers are as well, right? So. That makes sense.
Oh, 1 sec.
No, take your time.
Oh, no. I thought the audio wasn't getting caught. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm doing it raw, bareback. Sorry. So, yeah, go for it, AceOfSpuds.
Yeah, so my name is AceOfSpuds. I'm very obviously Irish, I suppose, by my accent. Got into commentary maybe... This is going to make me feel old. 7 years ago. Jesus. Yeah, 7 years ago. In a serious way. Before that, I'd been kind of in the FGC... on and off since Street Fighter 4. It was with Street Fighter 5, things like the new Challenger kind of underdog tournaments, and then eventually Salt Mine League is actually where I wet my teeth a big bit. I was lucky in that when Redis was looking to swap to an English commentary, and they were looking for a, I suppose at the time kind of newer English speaking commentator, so I got into Salt Mine Season 2, which was the first English one.
Okay.
And then did, I want to say, Season 2 to 6 every Sunday, every week for like 3 years.
Damn.
Now, so that was me just trying to barbarian my way through getting as much experience at kind of a higher level as possible. And then from that, I would have branched out to kind of major events, things like Celtic Throwdown, Mix Up, Head Stomper, and then a lot of kind of not majors, but a lot of kind of more regional tournaments as well as that. And then I suppose the capstone would have been doing the World Warriors and stuff so far with Capcom for last year's Capcom Cup and the year before that as well. So predominantly Street Fighter, but I've done everything from BB Tag Top 8 to Dragon Ball Arxis World Tour. As long as there's 2 dimensions, I'm happy I can learn and commentate it.
I'm pretty much the same. The 3D realm, my brain isn't ready for that.
Well, it's funny you said that actually what got me into Guilty Gear was you and Street Fighter's Idiot's Guide to getting into Guilty Gear. Like how many ever years ago? I was like, I'm an idiot who likes Street Fighter. Guilty Gear looks cool. Let's watch this video.
That's pretty cool because I also that was my first Guilty Gear. I didn't play Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
And what happened was Theory jumped on later. So he was asking me like I was an expert. I was like, I've only been playing like 6 months longer than you did. Like, you'll catch up in like that. But I was kind of explaining. It was the blind leading the blinds, and luckily enough, there was a lot of other blind people that found it interesting.
So then as well with things like Dragon Ball, how I got into Dragon Ball commentary is A, Salty EU running the tournaments, and B, for anyone outside of the UK and Ireland, there is this like never-ending Dragon Ball rivalry between us, as there is in a lot of things. But yeah, Dragon Ball definitely. Other than Tekken, I would say Dragon Ball definitely became like the predominant fighting game in Ireland for at least a couple of years. So, in terms of just not necessarily even people playing, but new people in the community. Like, I want to say Dragon Ball brought maybe 20, 30 new people who are now playing Street Fighter, Tekken, everything, even not just my local monthlies.
That's actually really, really good. I think, obviously, the IP is kind of everyone knows about Dragon Ball to a degree. I guess it's like the Western version of, like, superheroes, right?
Yeah, everyone knows the Goku. Like, it's trademarkable, right?
Yeah, and their kind of turn from the arena fighter to 2D. It was kind of cool to see new blood, even like arena fighters that played like Tenkaichi and Budokai Xenoverse jumped into this and kind of went, oh, this is
there's a whole thing here.
Yeah, this is it's not just a quirky little try that they're trying a quirky little thing they're trying to do with 2D. Like, there's a scene for this. That's really sick to hear from like your region specifically, getting in such an influx of people. That's it
was massive. It was sick.
Cool. So, I guess we should get into commentators and their value. Like I've been saying at the beginning, I am very doomer about this. I don't want to say I'm like super like negative about it. I think from my perspective, I don't value as highly as everyone around me, it seems. So I'll let you go first. Then I'll give you my analogy and I'll see if you agree with it, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
What would you say is important, and what kind? I mean, it's such a nebulous question, but like, what does it bring to an event like commentating, or to a stream, or I don't know, a show, whatever you want to call it?
I guess if I was to like try and summarize it in one word, it's context.
Right.
So the way, maybe an over-the-top stupid example, right, that I like to use is Evo Moment 37, right, with Daigo Parry. Everybody has seen this once, right? Everybody has seen this, okay?
Yep.
Everybody has seen this one, right? But, like, if you're outside the FGC, and maybe even if you're outside gaming, you have no idea what you're looking at.
Yes.
Or why it's impressive. It's only external commentary that makes that understandable. And even from a broader perspective, I don't know about you guys, but the thing I remember most about that clip is the one guy screaming, "Let's go, Justin!" at the start.
Right at the beginning.
That was unintentionally one of the greatest pieces of esports commentary ever done.
I understand that. I can see that point.
I would view that before we got a desk with commentators, audiences in tapes are unintentionally providing commentary on the game. I mean, they literally are. So the way I look at that is what's often called, it's definitely the greatest moment in Street Fighter's history, and it's arguably maybe one of the first esport viral pop-offs ever.
Probably, yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean the same without context, right? So the way I view that is that our job as commentators is to provide that context on the go for everything that's happening, in the same way that Daigo Parry doesn't make any sense to an external observer without context for what's actually going on.
Okay, so I've had this example brought to me before about the Evo moment, but they didn't do it the way you said it, which has made me think about it. So I'm glad I got you on. I don't know if it's changed my mind. I don't know if it's changed my mind, but it's definitely made me think. So for you, I've always heard like commentating is context to the visual. I've kind of always had it like that as well. But you use something that wasn't on the desk. You used the context in terms of the kind of like the hype around the visual.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So even someone in the crowd brought context. Technically, they can be heard on the mic, so they could be classed as a commentator.
Honestly, I view that as like an accidental renaissance piece of commentating. Like, beautiful.
Yeah, the first selfie that was done by mistake just to make sure the camera worked. Like
literally same energy. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna have to reevaluate all my positions now you said that. I think I'm still in my spot. So yeah, I got brought this example to kind of show the importance of commentating, and I was like, okay, I think, again, unless I do some market research, which I might do, depending on how hard I go on this, but I think that moment is impressive due to the difficulty. The crowd and the commentators can make it hype. And if we're talking to people outside of fighting games and they hear people screaming and shouting, it's kind of like a yawn. It's infectious, but it's not genuine. But if you tell someone, oh yeah, he had to memorize this super, how many hits he did, and he had to give up his block action to parry it, and if he would have messed it up, he would have died. Once you give him that kind of context, I think the normal person, the average Joe, will go, oh damn, that's insanely sick that he did that. They won't have the hype of being there, which was the commentating that you're speaking about, but I feel that context is stronger than the infectious kind of context that commentators bring.
I agree, but I would also say that the best commentators provide that kind of analytical context on the go as well.
Yes.
Do you know? Sorry, go on. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree, but I feel a lot of commentators, not commentators, I'll say mostly spectators, don't care about analytics. I think the players do, because they want their skill to be presented to people that can't understand it visually. So you get those tweets from the top players that go, oh, they got this wrong. Yeah, that's what they want. But I don't think most people, like the normals, don't want that.
No, and I don't know how much you've looked into this, but like there's been like the way I always come to this kind of discussion with the assumption that we're equating it to sports commentary as well, or any other kind of esports commentary, right?
Right. Yep.
If you equate it to sports commentary, there's been a massive amount of research because sports commentary has existed for hundreds of years. So one thing that's been pretty much, it's an opinion-based thing, so it's hard to exactly quantify. But roughly speaking, it's exactly as you're saying. Your desk analyst is for the players, and it's your color commentator is for the average Joe sitting at home. Now, to the extent of what it is, there's a specific study that was it was done in 2016 by the University of Nebraska.
Okay.
So what this did, I'll just quickly go through the abstract. I'm not reading a 300-page paper.
I love sources, so
So what the whole idea with this is that it included 80 undergraduates. So it was a sample size of 80. Now, it was in a large private university in Seoul, Korea, which I find interesting because literally one of the meccas of esports.
Yes.
So we can assume safely that at least some of those 80 private university students in Korea may also have the money to play esports. It's a safe assumption.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. What they found was that the color commentary almost doubled the audience's willingness to rewatch the same type of content later on.
Yep.
In a sports context. So when I kind of figured that out, and when I was reading through that paper, I first saw it maybe sometime last year, but that kind of flipped my perception of what I view as the value of commentary. The in-the-moment commentary is important and fantastic, and it's the bread and butter of what we do. But I think really retention is where the value comes from.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
So I think the entire basis of my argument of why I consider commentary valuable is because without it, you do not have the same retention, you do not have the same enjoyment, you do not have the same, likelihood of reconsuming the same kind of program, anything like that.
Right. I agree with all of that. I think retention is the most important part of, I guess, for if the FGC is a entity, the most valuable thing we can give to the FGC is having people keep watching.
It is, and it goes beyond just watching, right? It's not even a joke. I'm always telling people just go to tournaments. Right. Going 0-2,
Yep.
like 50% of people in a bracket on average go 0-2. They make up the majority. Participation matters more than anything. And next to that, viewing matters way more than not view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. So the bit I disagree with, I think we're narrowing down to what the actual issue is.
So, yeah.
Because I think the retention is important. I think you can get that from a lot of other factors other than commentating. I think you can have a personality and do the exact same thing, even bigger. I've said to like a lot of commentators or people that are trying to get commentating, I'll give Globku as an example, right? So Globku has infinity amount of followers. Now, if he tweets out that he's going to stream a tournament or he's going to commentate a tournament, he's going to bring in more people to spectate it than I can, even if I am better at commentating that game than him. But because of his personality and what he's done outside of commentating, it's already done the job. Before he's even commentated, he's already got that retention.
Right. Now, I can see where the issue is coming, because in my mind, in that example, right? So you may be better at analyzing the game and understand the game better. But to me, having 1 million people who want to watch what you do as a personality is just an extremely powerful form of color commentary.
I say.
Why do 1 million people watch Globku?
For his personality.
What is a color commentator?
Isn't all commentating your personality though?
It is exactly. But it is.
So to me, it's like it's like a moot point, because commentating is personality, full stop, right? Even if you're being analytical, So Globku's got a better personality than me because the numbers on Twitter show that.
He doesn't. No. The thing is, he doesn't necessarily have a better personality than you. He just has a currently larger reach. But that's an external factor, okay? Because say if 1 million people like Globku, and he goes to commentate this game, and just shits the bed. Now he doesn't, and I assume he wouldn't. But if he just shits the bed, on the day, that's 1 million people who are probably never going to watch that fighting game again. So his performance of commentary on the day is still overall what keeps the retention.
We're gonna get
regardless of how many people he brings with him initially.
So we're gonna get kind of meta, because I think that's retaining the retention. So
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So he's okay. So he's bringing in X amount of viewers more than me. I'm not saying that I'm better at commentating than Globku, but this is just for the example, right? So he brings in all those players, and you're saying, well, if he doesn't commentate well, he's not going to retain the retention of those people.
But they're not retained in the first place.
Well, if they
retention.
Go on. Sorry, go on.
Sorry. So, like in strict market terms, retention is returning customers, right? Okay. If Globku is saying I'm playing X or Y or commentating this, the vast majority of people, as far as I understand this example, are new eyeballs.
For the most part, we'll do that. So should we call them
retention?
Should we call them
potential? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Retention is the intention to reconsume the same media, to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
You haven't retained them until the second visit.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, you have 1 million Globku fans, maybe 30% of them already watch fighting game tournaments, the 70% that don't show up to this one, he shits the bed, that 70%, very little are going to watch the next one.
True. And if we put me in that situation, who has like a quarter of his following, even me not shitting the bed, I feel Globku's influence is bigger because he's at least shown that many people the game.
Okay, well, I here's the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is how we're supposed to do this, which is somebody with a large reach and influence says, I'm going to be commentating this event with X or Y extremely talented actual commentator. Blend the two worlds together. You use the reach of person A to bring the people in, and you use the actual skill and commentary of person B, if necessary. Maybe in this example, sometimes person A is also a fantastic commentator.
Yes.
But in the case where they're not, and look, I'm not going to use Globku as an example, because I feel like I've never even met the guy in real life, and I feel like I'm just pinning him or something.
What's his name backwards? Uklob.
Uklob. So, in this case, Uklob, if they brings 1 million followers, right? I guarantee you, if this person who brought the initial eyeballs was like on the first hour of commentary, and then was like, thanks for tuning in, guys, keep watching, I'm gonna take a break, be back later.
Yep.
It's the importance of the next 8 commentary slots that make sense. Nobody commentates a whole event.
Yes, true. Very
so
true.
I think the idea that you're like, so you're saying that like because of sheer numbers, even if Globku was to retain 1%, it would be more than me or you.
Yeah, so I
just imagine the numbers of him bringing 1 million people and then you commentating to that 1 million people at the level you can. That's going to retain even more.
True. Okay, no, I agree. So I guess this topic is obviously very like subjective and there's not a very good metric. So I tried to make metrics, and like I said, when I talk to other people, I'm like, your follower account is very important. I feel TOs don't directly do this, but I think they go, well, this commentator's got this many people following them. That means that person can talk about anything and he's guaranteed like this baseline amount of viewers, right? I would ask you, in the scenario that we've constructed with myself and Ook Blob, who is more important, the person bringing in the potential or the person keeping the potential? If you had to, I think it's obviously the Ook Blob. Who do you think's more important?
Well, but to me it feels like you're contradicting yourself, because 5 minutes ago you agreed that retention was the most important heartblood of the FGC.
If we wanted to, if we had to mortalize the FGC, at the moment, because we're quite like low down, I think retention is important. Yeah, I don't think that I don't want to try to use, I'm trying not to use like corny words, but I feel it's in the inherency of the FGC is the players. But I'm thinking about, well, for the players to get their value, they need people to watch them. So I feel like we are a pawn for the players and the tournament organizers to get what they deserve. I think if players were getting the amount of money that other esports were getting, we would be irrelevant. Yeah, so I guess at the position we're in, we have more value than if we was in a bigger position like Overwatch or Valorant or something.
Why would we be irrelevant? I don't understand that point.
Because I think the art of commentating in the scheme of all the other aspects of fighting games is at the bottom. Sorry, not at the bottom, it's the least important. This is the example I gave, so we'll go to the example. You have a burger. You've got the bun, the lettuce, and the patty. I would say the patty are the players, they make the burger. Without the players, you don't have anything. You don't have a tournament, you don't have anyone to watch, blah, blah, blah. The TOs and production are the bun. Now, you can have the patty on its own, but then it's not a burger. So you need the bun to make it a burger. The commentators are the lettuce and the tomatoes.
I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more. So
if
like,
you want to use that analogy, you can, but you don't have to. That's my analogy, though.
I will, instead of using an analogy, I'll go back to referring to. So again, with the assumption that we're equating it not 1-to-1, but close enough with sports commentary.
Yep, I'm cool with that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Then the idea that if players and TOs were paying enough, commentary wouldn't matter. No. Okay. Highest paid sport in the world is football, right?
Yep.
Okay. What happened during lockdown when there was no crowd?
Yeah, there was an act of God that made commentators. Yeah. Okay.
And also, right? I would view the crowd background noise as something that kind of goes with commentary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you are a football fan. I am. I literally couldn't watch matches over COVID. It would give me anxiety looking and hearing empty stadiums. Hearing the commentators echo in the booth. Like,
it was a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie.
Now, imagine the reverse. You'd have a crowd, but no commentary for 90 minutes on a soccer match. Is it as enjoyable?
In
a vacuum,
neutral.
In a vacuum, two teams you've never seen playing a sport you don't understand.
Right, if it's two teams I don't know of, then maybe I would need the commentators for the context that you're talking about. If it's like two top teams, I can just appreciate the skill that's being displayed. I'm not copping out, but that's my honest answer. I think again, it goes back to context. I think there's sometimes you don't need the context, but I'm biased because I know what to look for, right? I know what's impressive. So
yeah, but here's the difference, right? Because I like, this is exactly what I'm getting at. The problem is probably every human who's a man in the world has kicked a soccer ball at some fucking stage in their life. It's the most ubiquitous sport in the world. In terms of knowing what a Street Fighter is, it's not as ubiquitous, but I guarantee you your uncle who doesn't play video games has heard or seen an arcade machine or a chicken once in their lives.
I 100% agree. Yep.
Yeah, totally ubiquitous in terms of gaming.
Yep.
Right? The difference is when you look at soccer, you can, because it's a human being moving their body, immediately understand what's going on, the skills involved, the fitness involved, the perception involved, the hand-eye coordination involved. You look at a Street Fighter, you have no fucking idea what's going on if you haven't sat down and learned it.
And yeah, I don't want to make a tangent, but real quick. So I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think though I had a concept of there was like a job that I saw advertising and they were doing betting for sports games. So they were doing like NBA, FIFA and blah, blah, blah. And they were thinking about doing fighting games. And I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer because there is nothing you have to tell the person who's betting in terms of how to judge if they're doing well or not. You don't have to, I could be wrong. For the most part, you don't have to explain to someone how a life bar works. Like, so visually, it is very easy to understand a fighting game versus, again, I'll use an extreme, a MOBA. Like League of Legends, you need someone to sit you down, guide you through it.
I couldn't disagree more. And this is coming from the context of, this is something that deep delves kind of more into psychology and learning theory.
Go for it. Educate me.
You've all heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
Yes, 100%.
You don't know what you don't know, right? What people seem to forget is the top end of that, which me and you were at, which is we know so fucking much from commentating and playing these games for decades plus, we don't remember what it's like to not know anything.
I've actually said this before. I think it's very hard for someone who's been, as soon as you learn frame data, you can't go back. You can't unknow frame data.
I will tell you this for a fact. Life bars are not obvious, okay? My girlfriend comes to events, does not play the games, entered Smash once or twice. Every time I'm trying to explain what's happening on screen, I take some kind of meter, bar, life bar, the timer, something for granted. That without context for what... Okay, to me and you, it is obvious that the 99 seconds counting down means that the round is going to end at that time. If you've never seen it before, maybe you think a bomb is going to blow up, or like in the arcade, a car will show up and you both have to punch. No, seriously, I cannot, like, I have been shown the level to which my own ignorance exists because of my own knowledge, to such an extent that I now realize if somebody is new to something, you need to take absolutely nothing for granted. Because the concept that you're saying, that a life bar is obvious, yes, in fighting games, but you're going in with the assumption that the person looking at it has played games.
I don't feel so. There's also a thing where I think you can be so smart you can believe in stupid things. I'm trying to avoid that. I think when you think about something too much, if you get smart about it, you can convince yourself of irrational thoughts.
Anything, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be very careful when it comes to life bar. Again, like I said, I can't unknow things. I can't pretend to unknow what I already know, 100%. If I take the word life bar, life, I think is like, and I'll try and not use the word obvious because that is kind of like begging the question.
Okay, I think maybe I presented it possibly wrongly. Not the word, but I have been sitting down with people new to games, pointing at the green thing, asking, what's that? Is that my health?
Yeah, okay.
So it's something that most people can intuit, but not for definite.
Yeah, I would say that's why I didn't talk about when you said about the timer. That's why I didn't want to bring up the timer because that is kind of, it's obvious when you know. I would go, well, you've seen boxing, right? They have a timer, but you said it's a video game. It could mean anything. It could be that the PlayStation is going to shut down in 99 seconds. It could mean anything. So that's why I wanted, and obviously like meter and stuff. Those things you do have to explain for sure. But from the aspect of betting, it's like when this life bar's depleted, that character loses, and depending on who you bet on, you win.
Yeah, fair. I see that. Yeah, absolutely.
So going back to the use of a commentator, I think at a very, 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 very fundamental level, they're not needed because of that. Just the life bar bit. Obviously, that's not practical to think like that. No one watches a game and just looks at a life bar, even if you don't know what's going on. You look at the sparks, the flashy lights, the crazy character designs. And when you're talking about what holds like spectators' attention and brings them back in, it's the personality, it's the color commentator, right? The analysis, once you learn the frame data, like we've seen top players always tweet this out, like, oh, they got this wrong, blah blah blah. They want to hear information, regardless if they are learning or they just want the information to be correct when you pass it out, even though the majority of people don't care because they're like casual spectators. There's like a thing where you can just say plus or minus. Even that would go over a lot of people's heads, but saying it's +5 makes it even harder to understand if you don't have the context, right?
It does.
So I agree that the kind of, I don't want to say juvenile, but the kind of light-hearted commentary is more useful to the FGC, but I feel that can be emulated in different ways. Like I said, with personality, you could bring someone who's famous to commentate. They can't commentate, but they're bringing those people in, and if they see their favorite personality enjoying it, they're just going to watch. That's why I think the art of commentating isn't that important, right? You said it earlier, right? It is an art form.
It is.
It's an expression of yourself, and the way you present it is the art. That bit I feel is a bit like, if we had to lose anything, you could take that away and the burger still tastes nice.
Like, I guess maybe where we're differing is a big thing, is that I don't view what you're like what you're talking about. Like, let's say, I don't know, Lil Nas X decides he wants to come and commentate Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
100 million people are watching.
Easy.
But he's not going to do that every week, is he?
No.
He's going to do it once.
Yeah, I mean, Lupe did it. So Lupe did.
Once.
Yep.
Once. Also once.
Yep.
It's not their job to keep people. It's our job. So I guess I just don't see bringing 100 million people as a replacement for retaining 100 people week on week. You need both. They should stop. It shouldn't be a conflict in my mind. Let Lil Nas come, bring the 150 million people, but it should be people like me and you that are getting people to stick around. Because as cool as that will be, Lil Nas ain't coming back next week. He ain't coming back for a salty money match on 10 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Okay.
You know?
Well,
do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I see what you mean. But this brings me back to the question I asked earlier. We'll use different people. You and Lil Nas.
Yeah,
for that event, who is more important? To the FGC? The person bringing in all those people, or you retaining the majority of them? Who would you say, personally?
Without hard numbers, it's very hard to know is the thing, right? So, how do you score or rate my ability to retain? I don't know what it is. I'll never know what it is because it's so hard to fathom across live events, online events. Like, you never know.
Okay, I can make it easier.
Okay.
He brings in 1,000 new viewers.
Sure.
Just for turning up, and you are guaranteed to retain 1,000 new viewers. So it's 100%. Whoever he brings in, you are going to keep them in the FGC.
It's not even close that I'm more important in that situation.
But if Lil Nas didn't turn up, who are you retaining?
What are you? Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
I would say Lil Nas.
No, because there's the thing. Look, no, because okay, think about it like a business, right?
Right. Okay.
What's more important? Just like if you run, I don't know, a sweet shop.
Okay. Yep.
What's more important? The teacher that brings the school tour there, or the person who works in your shop that manages to convince every child this is the greatest sweet shop ever made, and now they're coming back tomorrow with their parents?
The teacher. No. If you don't get anyone through the door, who are you going to sell it to?
What? But we're looking at this in absolutes. The thing you have to realize is that in this context, you are already getting people through the door. It's just not a busload at a single time.
I did it in absolutes, kind of to give you a chance, because it is. If I said, "Oh, I'm bringing," I don't want to use kids in this candy store, but I'm gonna have to because we're here now. So if I bring 20,
okay, but use a different example if that one's creepy. Sorry, it's just I like sweets.
No, I've already visualized it. I can't get it in my head now. So I've got 20 school kids coming to your shop, right? They come for the first day. The next day, I bring 20 again. In this situation, right? I'm always gonna think me bringing you the customers is more important. Like,
in this situation, right, where Lil Nas is the school teacher on school tour, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, and school tours happen once a year. They're not bringing 20 more tomorrow. But what will happen is you'll get, like any shop, a couple new customers every day. So, like, okay, let's put it this way. Let's say if Lil Nas, that whole thing happened, right? 10,000, a million. Let's go nuts, because it probably would be in the millions if he did it, right?
Right, okay, yep.
How do you value that as a once-off versus how many people have I or you retained over 10 years? It's not a million. It's much lower. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I made it an absolute because I feel I was giving you a lifeline, because
Right.
Even if I said, oh, I bring in 10, Lil Nas brings in 10 and you retain 50%. I'm always going to say, well, it's definitely Lil Nas there. Definitely. Because
Okay, but from a business perspective, if we're going to be business about it, right?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Consistency trumps all.
Yes.
So if I'm in a business perspective and I have an option of 1,000 at once, or I'm going to get fucking 50 every day, guaranteed, I'm taking 50 every day.
If we're going, I guess, I don't want to...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do now. So it's going to seem like I'm being weaselly if I change the example, but I just want to...
change it away, it's fine.
I don't want to change it, but I just want to acknowledge that there is... When you said consistent, I was like, oh, that's the point, right? So if you have a shop of sweets and a shop of mobile phones, you don't consistently sell mobile phones, right? Because once someone's got one, they've got it for a while.
Don't need another one.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know what, even better, a sofa. You buy a sofa, maybe 3 times in your life, like whatever. Where sweets aren't like that. And I'm trying to think, that's why I don't want to change it totally. I'm trying to think, what is the FGC like? Is the FGC like the candy or the couch?
It's candy. It absolutely is.
Why is it candy?
It's grassroots. There's events every other day. In fact, if you actually go out of your way in Ireland, I'm pretty sure you can play in various different tournaments every single day, be it online or offline. You are literally like a kid in a candy store. What game are you going to play? What tournaments are you going to enter? What communities are you going to look at? Which character am I going to pick? If you want to use that comparison. And then how that filters to participation, which is what gives the FGC life.
See, I agree with that part. I think when you're in the FGC, it is a candy store. But I remember speaking to, I think it was like Kizzy K or something, and we was talking about this as well, about it started from making games easier and more accessible, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, well, when I think of someone who's like a casual, they might tune into EVO once a year. To me, they see the FGC as a couch. If they tune into EVO once a year, that's all they do. But they're there for EVO.
Yeah.
I think that's an extreme. I don't think there's people that only watch EVO. They probably watch other things here and there, but there's definitely people that don't play, that don't go to locals, they only play online, and they watch tournaments.
I mean, a good friend of mine that used to live with me, doesn't really play fighting games that much, but used to get really fucking hyped for EVO because I would get hyped for it, right? Used to love watching it, get involved in the stories, just cheering for people that weren't people I liked.
Classic. Yep.
You know, so I think those people do exist, but I guess that it varies on how you depend, on how you So to me, the FGC is people who are going actively to tournaments and participating. People, even if it's online, people involved in their local scene, people trying to learn and improve at the game. Even it's a broad net, right? The thing is, I don't think it's entirely on commentators to cast that net as wide as possible. It's partly on us. But I think this whole idea of, you know, I guess for me, the Lil Nas example, bringing it, like, that's a business prospect / deal outside of commentary in my eyes.
Right, okay.
I just have, as I've gotten older, so one thing I've realized is that, like, personally, that, like, conflict is fucking pointless. Everything is easier if you just try and work with people.
Yeah.
So the way I'm kind of contextualizing that is, I never view commentary as more or less, or players as more or less. It's an entire ecosystem in my eyes. Now, I can totally agree, maybe not agree, but see where you're coming from, in that if you had to remove one part, if you removed commentary, it probably might have the least immediate impact.
Well, I would say I feel out of those three, commentator is the only one that you can get rid of, and it can still happen. It still functions. Like, a tournament functions without a commentator.
But then it's just a tournament. Why are you streaming?
That's the function. That's what we want. So if you want a tournament, you need players and production. Yeah, you don't need commentators, right?
You don't need production. Why are you streaming it in the first place?
Oh, sorry. All right, organizer then. Oh, just players.
Do you know what?
Players are at the top. I think players are at the top, and then if you want, okay, perfect. I'm so glad you went in. So you got players.
Yeah.
Because without players, there's nothing, right? There's no tournament, no top level play, blah blah blah. Production's next because of, like, what you said. You don't need to stream it. It's like an add-on, right? It's the bun.
It is.
But you need that bun for the commentators, because if no one's watching the stream, or if no one's watching, there's no need for commentators.
I don't think there's a point in streaming without commentators.
Okay, that I hard disagree with. I think the tone poll only works with players, production / TOs, and commentators.
To add context to that, I'm talking about, like, majors and huge events. If you want to stream your local tournament without commentators, please do. Please share your locals and your monthlies with everybody. I'm talking about things like EVO or Capcom Cup, or, maybe even, you know, regionals, mix-up, Celtic Throwdown, things like this. What to me, if you are paying for a production team, which I know how expensive they are for one weekend, even the very fair rates are a lot of money to somebody who doesn't know what that kind of money is, right? But the thing is, why are you paying for that if you're not paying to double your chance of people watching the next one? Which, based off that research paper, is what commentary provides.
Yep.
It's like a 97% increased chance of reviewing.
I think
production and commentary are the same.
Yeah.
At big events, they're pretty much entangled in their importance.
Yes, there's a distinction that we need to make, because I understand what you're saying and I don't disagree with it, but I think it's because what you're describing is like kind of what you went back when you said, like, an ecosystem, right? The commentators need the production need the commentators. It's back and forth.
Yes.
But when I'm thinking about commentators and production, I'm like, physically, like, practically, empirically, which ones can go and people can still be entertained, so they can at least watch, right? Without production, there is no one for the commentators to talk to. That's why I'm, like, super empirical with it. What you're saying is, well, if we're talking about value, production and commentators bring the same amount of value because they're intertwined.
Yeah, and not only that, I am an extremely, like, empirical, data-driven person in general, with a couple of exceptions.
Right.
And the fact that commentary is a performance art, it's so hard to quantify the value of a good production or a good commentary, because it's subjective to each of the individual 1,000 viewers.
Why do you think it's subjective? Is it because I've said it as well, do you class it as art where there's no right or wrong? Is that why you think it's subjective? Or
there's betters. There's some obvious do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, so, I don't know, whoever is running this event might think I'm an amazing commentator because of a specific style I have.
Right.
That's subjective. What is my style? I'm loud. That is how I've gotten so, like, I've gotten, it's because I'm loud and I talk loud and I like having fun.
Yep.
Right? I'm the juvenile colour commentator. That's me. It's me. Okay? But people who don't enjoy that are not going to enjoy my commentary, even though you could say I did, like, even if I objectively had an excellent commentary set, there will be people who just subjectively don't enjoy my commentary.
Right.
And vice versa. You as the producer might be like, what are you're shit, what are you doing? But then you look at chat and you're like, woo, Spuds! It's so, how do you quantify it? And I think the problem is when comparing players entering a tournament, which is you can quantify the numbers, you can quantify who they are, what they've won, who they play, versus whether somebody likes this doofus or that doofus. It's so hard to quantify.
Okay, so this is one of the things I did think about when I had this whole conversation, like back at the mix-up. It's like it is a case of, well, if I'm going to say there is less value, I must be using a metric.
Exactly.
I must be, otherwise
yeah.
I can't defend what I'm saying. And my metric, to go back, is the follower count. My metric is what the commentators bring numbers. That's all we've got, right? Because like you said, whether you do good or bad is subjective. There is like do's and don'ts. If you swear on comms, you're not gonna get hired again. There are rules, so you can be objectively bad in those senses. But in terms of entertainment, there is no right or wrong way to entertain, because there's going to be some people that don't mind you swearing and they might find it funny, but because of the rules, you just can't do it, right? So all the things that I can think of will come down to a metric in terms of what the commentator brings. And production do carry that, but I feel their job is the platform to bring that metric. They're the ruler and the commentators are the measurement on the ruler. Because without the production, you can bring anyone because there's no stream.
Okay, I see.
So yeah, and this is why I think I've gone down this Duma route, because it's like, well, if it does come down to your clout, your like social currency, right, then you can gain a lot of that by being a bad commentator. Like logically, there's no contradiction there. You can be bad at commentating but have a massive following, so when you do commentate, those people will just come to watch you. They won't you don't necessarily need to be good at commentating.
I disagree, and I'm going to share something to try and back up my thoughts.
Okay, for anyone who watches the VODs, these links are going to be in the video. They're going to be in the video.
So this is just this is something publicly viewable from Twitch trackers, so Redis won't give out to me for using this, hopefully. But it's basically, if we look at Saltmine, I'm using Saltmine as an example because if I was to like divide up where I've commentated, it's a huge chunk. All
right, I'm gonna actually try and get it on the screen for the VOD. Yeah, carry on. I'll put it up there. Oh, my production levels are low. Good thing I'm a commentator. It's way easier. There you go. In real time. Right. So we have League. Right.
If we scroll down a bit.
Oh, it's not scrolling. How do I make it scroll?
Oh, boo.
Boo. I'm here to talk, not be smart. You got it twisted. Oh, I know what I'll do. I will just do a window capture. That should work better. Not being edited out. You're gonna have to hold this, everyone. There we go. Now I should be able to scroll. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what are we looking for?
Yeah, so scroll down to the channel performance. Yeah, this thing. There we go. Perfect. Amazing. Okay. So so on this, the kind of pinky bars are hours streamed, and the green line is average viewers, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you go to July 2019.
July.
No, it's actually on the your mouse was just on it. Oh no. So on the bar, the actual graph above you, on the x-axis is the months.
July.
Yeah. 2019.
That 20. Oh, I have to go back.
Right there. Am I blind? Yeah.
Oh, 19.
19. Yeah, July. Yeah, right around there. That's when I joined.
Okay.
Ooh. Nothing changed literally nothing in production changed except me coming in. And it was the first and continually only time where average viewers peaked above hours streamed. The only thing that changed was the commentator.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
My following on Twitter is not big, so I don't think it's as impactful. Do you know, like, so at the, like, I don't know, let me see. I think I'm like 500 people follow me on Twitter. At the time I started Salt Mine, it was probably double digits. It was probably not even 100. So they brought the people, but if you look at the statistics, people stayed when I came in. And that's, it has taken me 5 years to wrap my head around that fact, because I had to, you know, being able to say, look at the thing I did is extremely hard for me and most people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but the statistics are right there.
Fucking go off, man. Definitely.
The statistics are right there. I'm using myself as the fucking example. This shows how retention works, this graph. So basically, like, if the bar is above where the graph is, that means, you know, you're streaming for an extremely long time compared to the amount of people actually being retained.
Yes. Yeah. So for the stream, yeah, the line, sorry, the pink like bar is hours streamed. The green line is viewership. So
now what it doesn't show here, but if you highlighted it, it shows followers gained.
Oh yep.
So
20.
what? So what you always also notice as it goes along is that the number between average viewers and followers gained continually gets closer and closer. Sometimes followers gained overtakes average viewers as you go along from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. And during this entire period, again, not trying to toot my own horn, it was me and Funkfest, the German commentator, doing this every single week, every Sunday, without fail. Neither of us having like more than 100 people following us. So I think I agree that like eyeball input matters, but I don't think it comes from has to come from commentators, and I don't think it equates into commentator value. Because I'm able to quantify my effect on Salt Mine's viewership when I had no followers, basically. Now, what that graph doesn't show is that most of those people probably now make up my 500 followers. So it has the reverse effect as well, right? It has the reverse effect feeding into this whole ecosystem idea that I have, you know?
Yes, I mean, obviously I'm not going to argue with numbers. Like, you show me the stats, I can't argue with it. I can't say, well, nah.
Now, my giant sample size of 1, it's not conclusive. Hands up, I admit that.
You just might be constructed uniquely. You might be so good at commentating that you can break the norm. That could be the case.
It's in Sam's podcast. He was like, "There's like 5 amazing Street Fighter commentators in Europe. There's F Word, Tyrant, Damascus, you," and I was like, "No, put me in that same category. That's." A, I'm not there, and B, even if I was, don't put that kind of pressure on me. Don't put that bad juju on me, Sam.
I mean, I think your commentary rule should just literally be those 2 lines on that graph. I think, what else do you need to say? This is what it was before me, and this is what it is when I joined. You can't argue with that. I
mean, look, it is, I don't know, is it? It probably is the biggest weekly Street Fighter stream in Europe. It absolutely is. And, you know, this isn't me being like, I did this. I added what I could. There was a massive majority of the effort came from people like Ritas, Shinyaiba, Crossmoon, all the people in the background, right? But yeah, like, it is, the reason why I so staunchly believe this is because looking at my own performance, the numbers tell me that it's true.
Yeah, I mean...
But I could be biased by a awful sample size of 1. You know?
Yeah, you could be an outlier. You definitely could be an outlier.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of what we're talking about is just gonna be opinion based without market research. We could do it, right? We could just go out and be showing people Evo moments and go, well, here it is on mute, here it is with context, which one's more hype. Oh, by the way, those parries are like really hard to do, blah blah blah. We could do that, right? But we're just throwing ideas about. I think with this part, I'm willing to go 50-50. I think I'm more jaded, hence why I think followers and clout is like it overtakes skill needed to be good at commentating to get the viewers. And you're like, well, I've done this without a following, so I can't argue with that. Like I said, it's there in my face. I can't dispute it.
Like anything, C4, the real answer is somewhere in the middle. You bring 10,000 people and we'll keep them. You know, to me, the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yes, that I do agree with. But I'm always, I shouldn't. I don't know if there is a reason why I shouldn't think like this, and maybe that's why I disagree with so many people. Even with that example, I'm always going to be like, well, the person bringing in the potential is more important than the person keeping the actual. And I don't know if that's a bad way to frame this, like this disagreement, I guess.
I guess fundamentally the way I view it again is like the way you're constructing it there is A versus B. Whereas, you know, like which is more important? Which of the two is more valuable?
Yeah, in a perfect world, they're both as valuable as each other.
They don't need to be as valuable as each other. They just need to work together to create an overall greater value.
So, okay, I'll tell you, this kind of goes into the next part, because I wanted to talk about, do you think... So I think there's two ways to value commentating. The value it brings and the skill it takes.
Okay.
So we've kind of done the value it brings. I'm happy to squash it at 50-50, and it's because of my framing, and I have to go back and basically convince people why my framing's better. That's what I've got to do. I have to make people agree with A and B, which one is better, where I think a lot more people think where they come from where you are, where it's like A and B complement each other because they can't exist without each other.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So
that is a good summation of how I see it, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to work on my argument. That's cool, because I didn't think about the framing being different. That's why I couldn't articulate my point across properly. But this part, I think it might be something where we can't quantify it again in terms of, do you think the commentator value is high because of how hard it is to do? Because I think hard's a strong word. I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's easy, but I don't think it's hard. I think it's a skill, but a very accessible skill. And that's one of the other reasons why I don't put so much value on it, because if I'm going to be super rudimental and probably bad faith, I'm going to say, well, all we're doing is talking. And we're not swearing. But we can build up from that, because I know it's not just that. We can build up from that. So what skills do you think are difficult for most people to get on commentating?
I have approximately 4 college essays in my head about this topic, so could we take like a 2-minute break to grab a drink before we get going? Maybe. Not actually, like, I do have a bit to say.
Yeah, if you want to take a break, I'm cool. I'm cool with
Just
it.
let me grab some more tea before I dehydrate myself.
Yeah, you know what? We could break it into 2 parts. We can actually break it into 2 parts. Because this one's about an hour. So this one is about the value in terms of what it brings to the FGC, which I think overall, that's where we are right now. That's super important, especially with the new games coming out on the horizon. Eminem said it, we've only got one shot. I don't think we're going to get another shot.
Opportunity.
We've got one opportunity, right? If Project L drops and no one cares, I think it's going to be very hard to get people to care about fighting games. Considering we've already had so many Street Fighters, so many MKs. We've had Dragon Ball. We've had multiverses. It had LeBron James in it versus Bugs Bunny. If we can't make that work, I've already kind of just jumped off. When I saw Multiversus Tank, I was like, we have no shot. That IP is the greatest thing we could ever have. And it fumbled. So far, it's fumbled. Hopefully, it comes back. But yeah, that's kind of when, you see that graph? That is when I dipped. I was like, if we can't make that work, we are fucking almost done. So
now, the thing is, Riot somehow have magic fairy dust hands, and everything they've ever made instantly became the biggest esport of its genre.
Yeah, but fighting games are very different. I don't
They
know.
are. But yeah, that's why I'm not like they're gonna do it. I'm like, oh please.
This is them playing like Elden Rings on hard mode. If they could make the FGC look esports, then they're untouchable. They're the best. They're the greatest. And it's very hard to. Sorry, go on.
I love Riot. I don't love Riot. I don't love any company. Companies can all go die in the dust for all I care.
Nice.
But I enjoy Riot's products, right? I like Runeterra. I play League with my friends.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but Valorant looked like a fucking, I don't know, Gary's mod, ability mod for Counter-Strike Source. But it doesn't matter because what Riot have down is the ecosystem of what makes esports work. That's untouchable.
It is untouchable, but can they amend it for the FGC? Because I don't think it's going to work the same way. Again, I want it to work. I'm sure everyone who plays fighting games wants the FGC to be better.
Yeah,
100%.
what they need to... I think the challenge with Riot and the FGC is actually that a large chunk of the FGC are basement kings who don't want esports. And as somebody who used to be in that category, you're idiots. You're idiots. You're fucking idiots. I'm sorry to say. Fighting games were the first esport and then we just fell behind.
I might still be one of those people. I'm not sure. But it's not because of...
No!
The reason it is because of Twitter. I see the people in the community and I can't defend them. So I'm like, purge. Just purge everyone and start again.
I think something that I always try and keep in mind is that literally, I think I would say 9 out of 10 of those kind of comments are people I want to purge from the FGC. I have never seen at an event. Not once.
Okay. But you did say about, well, you can be part of the FGC and never come to offline. So
you can.
I just want a hard reset. Which does kind of give me that kind of fuck everything. I hope it fails. But obviously I don't, because when I go online, I want to be able to play people. So,
well, I'll put it this way: if Riot do succeed in esportsitizing everything, it will just push out the people who don't go to tournaments and just troll online all day on Twitter anyway, as well.
Would it?
Fucking hope so. I'm praying.
Hopefully those people would drown out the idiots. That would be cool. That would be cool.
You know?
We'll only find out. But yeah, I think 100% the conclusion I've come from is like, this is the whole reason I wanted to do it. And I think we might have said this off camera. I can't, for me to be in a position or have a take, I needed to be challenged. Otherwise, I'm too big brain that I can rationalize dumb takes.
Yeah.
So I need someone to check me. I need someone to be like...
I'm the exact same. I overthink and then I'm like, haha, I'm a genius. Oh no!
Exactly.
Every time.
You think you're being big brain, but you're just being more narrow because you're not checking for the holes in your idea.
You've got the blinkers on. You're narrowing in on this one conclusion.
Yeah, and I've definitely got that from the framing. It's definitely my framing, and I need to either justify that or be like, that's just me, and then that's cool. Then it's my opinion, and then but then I will stop arguing with people because at the moment I'm like, no, I am right. If it's my opinion, then it's just like, that's my opinion. So if I don't find a framing to be like, you need to be able to choose A and B because they're two different entities instead of your view, which is they're complementary. They're the knife and the fork. Yeah, they're the knife and the fork.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, you can have a steak. You need a knife and a fork. Like
the players, the TO. There's your burger, but the things around it, the plate, the steak, the glass, a handkerchief, they're just as important.
100%. So yeah, I'll work on that one. We're gonna play it here. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna come back and talk about is it even hard to commentate? Is it just speaking into a mic? All you need is a blue Yeti and a camera, and you can also be at Evo.
I'm taking critical psychological damage right now. D20's on the site table. Oh.
Okay, I'm probably gonna get schooled when you see the next episode, but
no, don't say it like that.
No, I need to be educated. I need to be put in my place. So yeah, we'll catch you guys in a minute. Peace.